Well, good evening and welcome on in, hockey fans, to the Hollydell Ice Arena in Washington Township, New Jersey. We've got a good one for you tonight on Midnight Sports. Tonight kicks off another showcase for the Atlantic Hockey Federation AA Bantam season, and the New York City Raiders are in town to take on the Orland Park Vikings. These particular Vikings hail from Orland Park, a town just 45 minutes outside Chicago, Illinois. They've traveled to southern New Jersey with an eye toward jump-starting their season. On the year, they're 0-21-2, but don't be fooled by their record. They have played almost exclusively AA Bantam teams, and against many of them, they've lost some very close games. Moreover, when you have teams that have traveled from outside your region, it becomes a bit more difficult to judge skill levels, as you tend not to have any common opponents. And finally, any team willing to hop on a plane to play in showcases halfway across the country is a team that needs to be taken seriously. On the other side of the rink, the New York City Raiders come into Washington Township, New Jersey, having won their last 5 games, most recently with a 4-0 victory over the Long Beach Lightning out in Long Beach, New York last weekend, as well as an 8-3 victory over the Long Island Enforcers 2 weekends prior to the Lightning game. The Raiders will look to use their winning streak as momentum to improve upon their last Atlantic Hockey Federation showcase record. Also, we have a busy weekend of Raiders hockey for you here on Midnight Sports. After tonight's game, the Raiders play again tomorrow at 9:10 a.m. and 4:10 p.m., and then again on Sunday at 9:05 a.m. All of the games, subject to carrier restrictions, will be right here on Midnight Sports. So go ahead and hit that subscribe or alert button to get a notification for all of those future games. And stick around because puck drop for period 1 is right now on Midnight Sports. It looks like Jason Bricker is going to take the cage for the Raiders to start this showcase. Number 2 for the Raiders, technically number 3 for the AHF. And it'll be a line of Marchuka, Meyerowicz, Petrosinelli as the forwards, Steinfink and Gosler out as the defenders for this Friday Night Lights edition on Midnight Sports. Well, center ice puck drop here. Referee has checked. Goalies, scorekeeper, told the wingers to stay on their sides, and the Vikings win that forward. They're into the offensive zone already, are the Vikings. Gosler pushes his man outside. The Vikings look to take over the puck. They do at the near dot momentarily. Now Marchuka has it, moves that up to Meyerowicz. Meyerowicz gains center ice, tries to push it farther. He's rubbed off the puck by the Vikings. Vikings go point to point. They look to come the other way. They pass it up into the neutral zone. Carlton leaves it for Edison. Edison now into the offensive zone. They're in on Bricker, but a nice stick there by Steinfink cuts out the threat. He looks to headman it all the way up to Meyerowicz, and the puck just evades him. The Vikings will take over in their own end. Edison now at the near half wall for the Vikings. Berliner pours in, keeps that puck at center ice at least momentarily, but the Vikings come the other way. They've got a 2-on-1 developing. Koslewski with a big stick, and then Bricker with an even bigger save there on the 2-on-1. Koslewski takes over behind his own net, looks to point that puck. Instead, Edison cuts that out at the near half wall. Now the Raiders do get that puck across the blue line. Meyerowicz takes over. He finds Berliner. Berliner takes it at the blue line. Berliner pours in the offensive zone. Puck comes off his stick, and Hyder tries to push it farther. Now Samosian dumps that into the offensive zone, and Berliner in on the forecheck. Samosi with him. Koslewski holds up at the blue line and cuts out any threat there into the neutral zone. Now Berliner with the puck in the neutral zone. Berliner finds Bizarro. Bizarro on forehand shot goes just wide of the cage, and the Vikings will try and pick up the puck. Instead, Samosi keeps that in the zone, and Berliner tries to dump it farther. He does. He passes to himself and now looks for Bizarro in front of the cage. He shrugs off his man, but it's going to get called, looks like probably for a reverse hit there as he was going for the puck. Let's see if it's an interference call. Now, they're saying Berliner had an elbow raised on that hit as he was fighting for the puck, and so he's going to go to the box. And if you recall from a month ago, it's going to be a rough. If you recall from a month ago, penalties at the AHF showcase are 1.5 minutes long, and each period is 16 minutes, and of course, there are 3 of them. Marchuka on the penalty kill. He's over the dot. The Vikings come away with that face-off, and they work it up to the far point. Vikings now try to cycle it down low. They're at the far half wall. Marchuka Bounces between two men to try and get the puck. Now it comes up in the high slot. Bouncing puck goes just wide of the cage after a deflection, and Tanoff now trying to get to the puck first. He does. He backhands it up to the point and out of the zone, and now Marchuka's off. Marchuka has one man to beat. He gains the offensive zone. He's at the far dot. Shot sails high and wide, and now Gossler tries to keep the zone. He's able to slap that farther into the offensive zone, and Finkelstein in for support. Vikings come away with it now. They're in the neutral zone, are the Vikings. They dump that in deep. Gossler turns. He's got Tanoff with him. They'll take it behind the cage after Bricker settles the puck down for them. Tanoff over to Marchuka, back over to Finkelstein, who's able to clear the puck out of the zone as the Vikings were making a change. Vikings take over at their own blue line. Finkelstein on the forecheck. He comes up the neutral zone pass at least momentarily, and now the Vikings come in. Vikings have gained the offensive zone. They dump it in deep. Gossler turns to get to his man, but it looks like we're going to get a call here on the Vikings, and got a delayed penalty coming up as Fauci takes the puck into the offensive zone. Still Fauci. He loses the puck there after he's hit by a Vikings man. We'll get a stoppage in play at 13-19 in the first period. Still 20 seconds left to go on the Berliner penalty, but we should be to 4-on-4 hockey here as a Viking is going to go to the box. Well, the linesman sorting out here which Viking will be going to the box. No one wants to fess up. But ultimately, it will be 4-on-4 hockey for 20 seconds. 13-19 to go here in the first period. And an offensive zone draw coming up for the Raiders. Well, 4-on-4 for 20 seconds, and then a minute and 10 seconds max for the Raiders on the power play. Petrosinelli now over the near dot in the offensive zone to the Vikings goalie right. Leans over, tries to win on the backhand. Vikings come away with it instead. It's Pfeiffer. He's able to dance around Petrosinelli and work it over to a teammate. It's Edison now through the neutral zone. He's got Kashevsky getting in his way, and Meyerowicz comes away with the puck at least momentarily. The Vikings will just have to dump in. 4 seconds left to go in the 4-on-4 hockey, and then it'll be a power play for the Raiders. 5-on-4 now for the Raiders as they break out of the penalty box, and Bizarro looking for that home run pass has the puck come just off his stick and out of play. And we'll have a neutral zone faceoff coming up here as the Raiders will have a minute and 2 seconds on the power play with 12:51 left to go in a scoreless first period. Well, it's Petrosinelli over the dot just outside the defensive blue line for the Raiders. Vikings win that back. 4 skaters out there for the Vikings as they're happy to kill some of this penalty in their own zone and work it up weak side through the neutral zone. Oh, they find a head man. They gain the offensive zone. Shot comes in on Bricker. He sticks that aside, and the Vikings go to collect. Vikings player blows a tire in the near corner, and the Raiders look to break out of their zone. They do. They find Bizarro up front. Now Bizarro finds Petrosinelli. Puck rolls off his stick, and the Vikings turn the other way, but Blake Hyder's there to cut out any threat at his own blue line. He tries to work that up to Meyerowicz. We're going to get an arm raised here for icing at 12:20 left to go in the first. After the Raiders were unable to corral the neutral zone pass, it'll be a defensive zone faceoff for them coming all the way back down. Well, 31 seconds left on the power play here for the Raiders. And you'd like to see them get a little push out of the man advantage. It'll be Marchuka at the far dot. Wins that over to Tanoff, who works that up to Vigliotti momentarily, but now Tanoff takes his man out of the play, and Finkelstein fires in to work it back up to Vigliotti. Vigliotti with the puck now, looking weak side. He finds Marchuka in the neutral zone. Marchuka across the red line, now into the offensive zone is Marchuka, looking to get on the forehand. Instead, leaves it for Hyder at the point, and Hyder tries to work that down farther. He does. He works it over to Marchuka. Bouncing puck, though, comes off his stick, and Hyder stays at the near half wall, works it over to Marchuka. Puck rolls in on the goaltender there. It's loose in the crease momentarily, and then a dive covers that up with just 1 second left to go on the power play here for the Raiders. And 11:50 left to go in the first period. It gives us time to pause for station identification. You're watching Midnight Sports. We go to South Jersey, so you don't have to. Midnight Sports. Well, defensive zone draw for the Vikings here. It'll be Berliner back out there at the far dot trying to win this on the backhand. He does. He beats everyone on his own team as the Vikings come out of the box. We're back to 5-on-5 hockey. Puck in the neutral zone. Gossler now finds Fauci. Fauci crosses the blue line, dumps that puck in farther. Berliner gives chase. Berliner on his man. Fauci trying to cut out the quick pass. Instead, the Vikings are able to skate that out of the zone. They're 2-on-1 developing. Steinfink back, gets in front of his man long enough to get extra support back. Shot comes in on Bricker, save there with the leg pad, and now Steinfink looks to get the puck out of the zone. He pushes past one man and then two and breaks into the neutral zone. He looks for Fauci, cruising down the center of the ice. Instead, Steinfink throws that up and off the shoulder of the Vikings goaltender. Now the puck's loose, and it's in. It's in. That's a Raiders goal. Well, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And with 11:13 left to go in the first period, the Raiders are on the board after 1, 2, and 3 rebounds. They were able to pot that one just past the Vikings goaltender and get that 1-goal lead. Well, ensuing face-off, it's going to be Marchuka, Samosi, and Bizarro as the forward line. Hyder and Koshlewski out as a defensive pair. Marchuka tries to win that forward, comes back to Koshlewski. Koshlewski in the neutral zone is able to dump that into the offensive zone. Marchuka gives chase. Vikings send that right back out of the zone. Hyder turns to pick up the puck, uses the boards, chip that up to Samosi. Puck comes off his stick, and the Vikings now come into the offensive zone. Samosi giving cover now. Tries to send that up to the boards, finds Hyder. Hyder's able to just slap that out of the zone, and the Vikings will have to recoil in the neutral zone. Vikings now looking for help weak side. They find it right in front of their own bench area and chip it past Samosi, but not Hyder. Vikings still looking to get into the offensive zone. Instead, Bizarro cuts out the threat, and he pours right back across the blue line. He's got Marchuka streaking in. Puck just comes off his stick before he can make the pass over to Marchuka, and now Koshlewski at the point is able to keep the puck. He sends that weak side, and Marchuka's going to have to beat his man to keep the puck in the zone. He does. Bizarro now in. Looks over for Samosi. Samosi almost goes behind the net, but Bizarro has it. Waits for the return pass just in front of the net, just behind Samosi there. Unable to put something on net, and the Vikings try and flick it out of the zone. Unsuccessfully, as Koshlewski gets in the way, keeps the zone, works that down to Marchuka. Marchuka now finds Bizarro. Bizarro turns, tries to get a shot on goal. Instead, puck comes off his stick, and he tries to get it right back to Marchuka. Vikings cut that out, and Koshlewski pinches in, and now Hyder's going to cover. Vikings will go for a change as Hyder beats 3 Vikings men to the puck and looks up to find Bizarro in the neutral zone. Bizarro takes over there. Bizarro on the backhand will dump in, and now the Raiders can make a change of their own. Marchuka on the forecheck as the Vikings look to pick up the puck with 9:44 left to go here in the first period. Vikings do pick it up in their own end. Try and get it past the blue line. Marchuka on the back check, forces a bad pass, and Gosser now takes the puck in the neutral zone. It's going to be an icing if it crosses the end line, and it does with 9:33 left to go here in the first period. We can visit with our first sponsor. Tonight's game on Midnight Sports is sponsored by the photos on your phone. Hockey fans, there's nothing quite like all those photos on your phone. You've worked hard to curate a collection of 4,592 special life moments, all in the palm of your hand. And to think, you missed virtually every important second of those moments because you were too busy pulling your phone out of your pocket, trying to get the photo app open, taking the picture, moving your thumb out of the way, taking the picture again, and then putting your phone away. But hey, at least you have a blurry picture of the life moment you missed. The photos on your phone. Even though you never look at most of them, it's nice to know they're there. Well, during our advertising window there, a lot happened. The Raiders were able to break out the other way, and they were saved on the 2-on-1 on the Vikings end. Took a penalty in the offensive zone there, and that delayed call on Petrosinelli saw the Vikings break the other way, get a shot in on Bricker, who made a nice save, and now we're at a 5-on-4 hockey in favor of the Vikings. Raiders down a man, up a goal. 9:06 left to go here in the first period as Petrosinelli sits for a minute and a half. It's Berliner at the dot. He's going to try and win this on the backhand as he, once the linesman is satisfied that all Raiders are out of the circle and off the line. Vikings win that. They work it over the slot. Shot goes wide of the cage. Now the Vikings pick it up there. They send it into the blue paint, and it is sticked aside by Meyerowicz. Vikings come right back into the slot. Berliner beats his man to the puck, and he looks to skate this out of the zone. He's crossed the blue line now. He's got Meyerowicz down the left wing with him. He's happy to kill some of this penalty by just dumping it softly into the offensive zone. Berliner looks to pick up his own pass at the end boards. He does. Berliner still at the near half wall, cycles that back down to Meyerowicz, who's in the far corner. Meyerowicz, again, happy to kill time in the offensive zone. Too many Vikings finally surround him, and they're able to break out of their own zone, are the Vikings. They're in the offensive zone now. Steinfink's back, trying to cut out the threat. He kicks it aside from the slot. Nice play there by Nate Steinfink. Vikings pick up the puck in the mid-slot. High shot comes in on Bricker, rolls up his chest, hits his face mask, and with good position, he's able to see that puck go all the way to the end boards. Raiders still trying to get this puck out of their zone. Furiously so now. Koszlewski and Berliner working together to get the puck at the near dot. Berliner has it on the forehand. He works it over to Meyerowicz. Meyerowicz gets that puck out of the zone, and at 8 minutes even, the Raiders are going to make a change on this penalty kill. 20 seconds left to go. Down a man. Vikings dump that in. Steinfink now turns. He's got Finkelstein out there with him. Finkelstein tries to get on the forehand. He shakes off one man, and now he's got Marchuka on the far side of the ice. Marchuka through the neutral zone now. He picks up the puck, and he crosses the offensive blue line. He's on the forehand looking for Finkelstein in the slot. Finkelstein now behind the cage. Just 2 seconds left to go to kill. We're back to 5-on-5 hockey. Vikings look to break out of their zone. 7.5 minutes to go here in the first period. Hyder tries to keep Vigliotti back for support, and he pushes that puck right back into the offensive zone and goes in on the forecheck. Now the Vikings go point to point and then come weak side, but it's cut out expertly there by Hyder. Hyder pushes it farther. Long backhand of Hyder sees the Vikings have to recoil and go point to point again in their own zone. They try a quick pass up and out of the zone. Hyder again on the puck in the neutral zone. Comes over to Vigliotti. Vigliotti corrals. It's 1-on-4 by Vigliotti. He goes just over the cage there. The Vikings will collect in their own end. Vikings now have the puck into the neutral zone. They're able to cross the red line and dump that in deep. Vigliotti turns to pick up the puck. He's got Tanoff with him. Tanoff now, far side. Looks to find Finkelstein. Finkelstein has the puck come off his stick, and Vigliotti taken down there. No arm raised. Berliner now with the puck. Berliner on the forehand. Berliner tries to fool the goalie there from the mid-slot, and it goes just wide of the cage. Tanoff keeps the zone at the far point. He sends a long shot in. Deflection from Berliner. Goes just wide of the cage, and now Vigliotti's able to keep the zone. Puck comes up to Gossler. Berliner in all alone. Glove save there by the Vikings goaltender. A wonderful save as Sam Berliner takes some abuse after a shot from about 2 feet away from the cage. Still a one-goal game. 6:27 left to go here in the first period. Raiders 1, Vikings 0. That'll be Berliner at the near dot, looking to win this up to Steinfink. Instead, the puck rolls forward. The Vikings take over in the near corner. Harassed there, though, by Kalemba and Berliner. Now the return pass into the slot. Can't connect to Berliner. The Vikings live to fight another day. They use the boards to get that out of the zone. Steinfink turns. He's got the puck on his stick, and he's going to curl all the way behind his own net here in order to buy himself some breathing space. Steinfink leaves the puck there for Koszlewski. Koszlewski tries to work it up farther past a Vikings man. He does with some support from Berliner. Berliner now on the backhand. Goes forehand and dumps that puck in deep. Fauci on the forecheck. Fauci at the end boards. Able to gum up a pass. He takes over the puck there. Looks into the slot. No one there, but Nate Koszlewski comes away with it at the near half wall. He flings one across the crease. Doesn't hit a stick or body. And now the Vikings are going to break out the other way. Steinfink cuts out the threat at the red line as the Vikings make a change. Now the Raiders have a 3-on-2. Kalemba in the slot. Kalemba sends a shot in. It's shrugged off there by the Vikings goaltender. Now the puck comes up to Koszlewski. Bouncing puck rolls in on the Vikings goaltender, and at 5:28 we'll get a stop in play as that puck is melted down. Well, both teams will be able to get 5 new skaters out there for this Raiders offensive zone draw. It'll be Marchuka at the near dot. Pizarro is a forward out there with him, as well as Samosi. Gossler and Hyder, the defensive pair. Vikings come away with that face-off after some jousting. They do get it out of the zone now. The Vikings on the weak side through the neutral zone, streaking up. They've got a 2-on-2. Drop pass finds nobody there, and Marchuka turns the other way with it. He's got Pizarro now up the right wing, his own 2-on-2 developing. Marchuka on the backhand, goes in on the goal. He tries short side. It's shut down there. Now he looks for a pass over to Pizarro. The Vikings get there first, and they're going to be able to pass this out of the zone. They've crossed center ice, have the Vikings. Gossler works his man to the outside, and the Vikings will go for a change as that puck sits in the offensive zone. Marchuka looks to pick up the puck. He does. He's on the forehand. He has Gossler with support with him. He finds Samosi on the weak side. Samosi works that up to center ice. The Vikings take over there. Vikings with the puck at their own blue line, looking for a home run pass. All they find is the stick of Gossler in the defensive zone. Gossler works that up to Pizarro, leaves it for Samosi. Samosi in the offensive zone, looking to get on the forehand, trying to settle the puck. That bouncing puck was unsettlable, and the Vikings come away with it in the neutral zone. Now they go weak side, cross the offensive blue line to the Vikings. Shot gummed up there by Steinfink, and Tanoff turns to collect the puck in the near corner. Harassed by his man, but Pizarro will come away with it now. Pizarro's got Berliner going with him. He finds Berliner center of the ice. Berliner has speed. He goes around his man. He's taken down there. Still no arm up, and the Vikings will come away with it. Well, they're letting them play here tonight, are the referees, despite that earlier 4-on-4. Vikings break into the offensive zone. A wonderful stick there by Nate Steinfink, cuts out any threat, and he reverses over to Tanoff. Tanoff with some ice and time, dances around his man, gets on the forehand, and he's going to be able to get that puck out of the zone. He finds Petrosinelli on a bank shot in the neutral zone. The Vikings do come away with it there. Pouring on is Nate Koslewski from the bench, and he takes over the puck in his own defensive end. He skates around one man, and now he's got Berliner and Meyerowicz there. He doesn't need him. That's a Nate Koslewski goal, a floater from the near point, and the Raiders have a 2-goal lead. Nate Koslewski from the near point sends a shot up and over glove side of the Orland Park Vikings goaltender, and the Raiders have doubled their lead at 3:33 left to go in the first period. Ensuing face-off, it's Marchuka, wins it forward. He's got Vigliotti with him. Marchuka takes it wide, sends a shot in on the Vikings goaltender, and it's frozen right there. No rebound coming. 3:28 left to go in the first period. It'll be an offensive zone draw for the Raiders. Still Marchuka, Finkelstein and Vigliotti as the forwards. Koslewski and Gosler out as the defensive pair. Vikings win that back to the end boards, side of their cage now. Vikings look to work this out of the zone. Send it cross ice. It's left there though, and Finkelstein takes over. He tries to work it in deeper, hits a skate, and now the Vikings break the other way. Gosler back on this 2-on-1 for the Vikings. Vikings still there. They try and go high on the cage. They miss it entirely, and they'll have to collect their own rebound, will the Vikings. They're at the far corner. They try and work that puck farther. Raiders work it up to the far point, and the Vikings dump it right back in. Finkelstein takes over, though. Finds Marchuka in the neutral zone. Puck gets caught in his skates. He does find it and dumps it in deeper so that the Raiders defenseman can make a change behind the play. 2:50 left to go here as the clock continues to tick in the first period. In South Jersey, rolling shot comes in on the Vikings goaltender, and he covers up there with 2:43 left to go in the first period. It will be an offensive zone draw for the New York City Raiders. Well, new skaters out there. It's Steinfink and Hyder as the defensive pairing. It's Fauci, Berliner, and Kalemba as the forwards. Berliner wins that up to Steinfink. Steinfink works it over to Hyder. Hyder dumps it in deeper. And Berliner on the forecheck. Kalemba out there with them. Kalemba now tries to work that puck up to the point. Hyder cuts out the threat, and Kalemba does work it in deeper. He's at the near half wall, working hard is Jackson Kalemba. Puck sits there momentarily. Hyder shovels it farther. Berliner takes over. Berliner kicks it to himself, and he works the puck into the near corner. Berliner now takes a heavy hit in the near corner, and the Vikings are going to come away with this in their own zone. They've skated out of their zone. They're in with speed, but again, wonderful stick there by Nate Steinfink. Cuts out the threat at his own blue line after doing it at center ice. Now Fauci takes over. Fauci has the puck on his stick and forehand. Fauci works it in deep. Dances around one man, hits another, and gets the puck all the way to the end boards, and now he takes his man out of the play, but we're going to get a call here. Looks like for a high hit. It's going to be a roughing on Fauci. He's going to go to the box here with 1:50 left to go in the first period. He'll sit for 1.5 minutes, and the Raiders, up 2 goals, will again be down a man. Now the penalty killing unit is out there. It's Tanoff, Gosler, Pizarro, and Samosi take a draw in their own end, just to Bricker's right. Pizarro over the far dot. Pizarro wins the puck to himself, now turns to try and get on the forehand. He does. Samosi takes over in his own end. He skates to the weak side, crosses the blue line to relieve some pressure in his own defensive end. Gosler now takes over in the neutral zone. Shuffles that puck up. Samosi works it in the offensive end where the Vikings take over. Vikings now through the neutral zone. Tanoff tries to take his man off the puck. Samosi in for support. Tanoff finds the puck in the far corner, and now Samosi takes over on the forehand. Tries to work it farther. The Vikings are swarming him with 1:20 left to go here in the first period. Vikings go point to point. Puck looks to bounce out of the zone. It does after that cross-ice pass, and the Vikings will have to reset. They do. They're back into the offensive zone, are the Vikings. They're at the high slot, but the Raiders cut out any threat right there and send it right to center ice. 45 seconds left to go on the kill as the Vikings recoil. They're in the offensive zone again, are the Vikings. Rogers with the puck. It comes to the near corner. He takes a heavy hit there by Gosler, but the Vikings do keep possession of the puck. They're in the high slot now, looking to work that in deep on this power play. Samosi threatens his man, and he'll dump it in deep. Now Gosler works the puck over to Tanoff and Pizarro. Vikings still with the puck, but Pizarro kicks it to himself and farther. 41 seconds left to go. He's got a mini break here. He has to beat one man. Instead, happy to just kill some of the penalty in the offensive end. Petrosinelli now on the puck. He sends that shot on cage. It's kicked aside, and Hyder now with the puck dumps it in deeper. Just 7 seconds left to go on the kill here for the Raiders. It'll be 5-on-5 hockey again. Vikings look to work that out of the zone. Hyder looks to keep it in the zone. Vikings win that battle, but it is 5-on-5 skating again as Marchuka comes on the ice. 15 seconds left to go here in the first period. Marchuka works that puck up to Meyerowicz. Puck comes off his stick, but Meyerowicz takes his man out of the play. Just 8 seconds left to go as the Vikings look to get in the offensive end. Hyder takes over. He turns and gives chase. Vikings now with the puck in the far corner, trying to get that to the crease. Unable to do so, and after one, that'll be New York City Raiders 2, Orland Park Vikings 0. Stick around for period 2's puck drop coming up next. Well, first intermission here. We've got some time to visit with sponsor number 2 this evening. Tonight's game on Midnight Sports is brought to you by Rolling Your Eyes. Hockey fans, have you ever been in a situation where telling someone you thought their idea was the worst thing you've ever heard would have taken too much energy? Or have you ever been a teenager and literally had any adult talk to you about anything? Well, good news! Rather than say anything, with the patented Roll Your Eyes response method, you can let anyone who is looking at you know that you are not only the smartest person in the room, but you can't even be bothered to use words to respond. Rolling your eyes when being passive isn't aggressive enough. Well, there's the whistle. Referee and linesman calling all the players back to the ice. 16 minutes back on the board for period 2, period of the long change. Both teams getting a strategy session from their coaches using the whiteboards behind the bench. Looks like it'll be Petrosinelli, Marchuka, and Meyerowicz as the forward line for the Raiders. Tanoff and Gosler as the defensive pair. We're set. Puck drop. Vikings try and pour forward. Instead, Marchuka cuts it out and takes the puck in the offensive zone. He's on the backhand, but he's in all alone. He rounds the goalie. He tries to go 5-hole. He does. That's a Raiders goal. Luke Marchuka goes forehand, backhand, forehand, finds the 5-hole, puts it right in the back of the net. 10 seconds into the second period. It's Raiders 3, Vikings nothing. There to cut out the threat in the neutral zone, and he dumps it in. Petrosinelli now fires forward on the forecheck. Oh, he takes a high stick there. It is Petrosinelli, and he's down on the ice. We'll get a quick whistle. We'll see if we get a high sticking call. No, looks like just a quick whistle. No gesture to the box at all. And so we'll play on 5-on-5 hockey. 15:38 left to go here in the second period. It's Marchuka at the far offensive dot. Vikings win that puck over to the far corner. They're on the backhand. They're cut out of the play again by Marchuka. He's a man on fire down there behind the Vikings goal. Little support from the Vikings does see them break out of the zone. Puck hops off a stick. Gosler there to stop the break the other way. Now Marchuka all over his man in the neutral zone. Tanoff with the puck at his own blue line. The Vikings just send that in deep, and Tanoff turns to collect. Tanoff with the puck. He'll curl behind his own net. On the backhand, looks to reverse. He's surrounded by 2 Viking men, so he takes one out of the play, and Marchuka comes in for support, try and get the puck out of the zone. Rolls off his stick. The Vikings dump it in right back to the end boards. Now Tanoff tries to use the glass to get that puck up and out of the zone. He finds Marchuka at the blue line, and Marchuka is able to shepherd that into the offensive zone. Now Petrosinelli moves quickly in, and a wonderful leg save there by the Vikings goaltender. sees that breakaway saved. Vikings look to break out of their zone after some heavy hitting at the end board. Slap shot comes in from Gosler, doesn't fully connect. The puck rolls into the crease, but no farther. Now Berliner looks to turn that puck in deeper. Finds Meyerowicz. Meyerowicz looks to hit his man, and Berliner ends up with the puck again. Gosler at the far point sends that puck in deep. The Vikings will have to turn and collect in the near corner. Vikings now work it up to the near half wall. They're able to pass that puck out of the zone. Vikings dump that puck in deep, but we're going to get an icing call as they had not gained center ice. And with 14-14 left to go in the second period, we'll get a stoppage in play and time for station identification. You're watching Midnight Sports. Lowbrow puns with high-definition video. Midnight Sports. Well, Berliner at the near offensive dot. Tries a shot on winning that faceoff. It's cut out just before it gets to the goaltender. Now Koslewski keeps the zone, works it down to Berliner again at the end boards. Finkelstein with the puck at the near half wall. He finds Berliner for a one-timer. Goes just wide of the cage, and Bigliotti tries to collect. Vikings come away with it. They're at neutral ice, are the Vikings. They're in the offensive zone. Big back check there by Koslewski. And poke check by Hyder, cuts out the threat momentarily. Shot comes in on Bricker, he shoulders that down, and then works the puck up to Vigliotti. Puck sits at the blue line, but not out just yet until Finkelstein takes over and guides that puck farther into the offensive zone. Vikings now at neutral ice with the puck. Puck sits there at the logo for the Hollydell Ice Arena until they're able to dump it in, are the Vikings. Raiders work that puck up farther. This game's getting a bit chippy as there's been a lot of hitting behind the puck movement plays. Vikings with the puck. They're stopped at the blue line, and they just spin-a-rama it over to Blake Hyder, who takes over on the forehand. He uses the boards to get that puck out of the zone. Vigliotti hunts it down. He's in the offensive zone, is Vigliotti. Brushes his man aside, takes over in the near corner, and looks for a slot pass. Puck sits there momentarily until Eli Finkelstein comes in for support. Vikings eventually come away with it. They're still in their defensive zone, but they do have a breakout going right here. They leave it at their own blue line, but then they work it up farther, do the Vikings, and they're able to slap that into the offensive zone, and the Raiders will have to give chase. Steinfink now meets his man at the puck. Vikings keep the zone. Raiders working hard to get this out of the zone. They chip it up on the boards. Vigliotti does find it, and now he's going to be able to skate this out of the zone. He's at the red line. He's told to get it in deep for a change. He sends that shot in on goal. Puck's just gloved down there by the Vikings goaltender. Play moves on, though, as no Raider was close to the crease. Now Steinfink has the puck. He tries to work that in deeper, skips over his stick, and Tanoff turns to collect in his own end. He uses the boards to get that out of the zone. Marchuka looks to take over. Vikings work that in deep, but no deeper than Steinfink, who again chips that up and out of the zone. Samosi has it in the neutral zone now. He crosses the blue line. He's on the forehand. He's being told to shoot. He does. Fumbled there momentarily by the Vikings goaltender. But no harm, no foul for Orland Park as the Raiders look to take over again in the offensive zone. Instead, the Vikings are going to be able to break out. They find Bizarro at center ice to the Vikings, who works it farther to Samosi. Samosi turns to get that puck in deep. Vikings again look to break out. It's cut out once more by Tanoff. Tanoff now on the forehand. He's driven wide by his man. Tries a bad angle shot, and then the pass comes in. Excuse me. It was a great angle pass for a bad angle shot. Tanoff goes to collect again. He's still in deep. Covering up at the point is Samosi for him. Tanoff at the end boards. Vikings do come away with it. They're going to skate this out of the zone. They've got a 2-on-2 developing the other way. They'll dump it in deep as the Vikings are exhausted after that shift, and they'll make a 5-man change. Samosi looks up. He sees Bizarro at the offensive blue line. The Vikings are able to cut out that threat, and they're going to come the other way, are the Vikings, out of their defensive zone. Well, they went point to point one too many times, but they weren't made to pay for it there, and the Vikings do break into the neutral zone and then the offensive zone. Vikings try and get a shot on goal. It's cut out by Gosler. Nothing coming there, and Gosler moves the puck over to Marchuka at the far half wall. Vikings try and keep the zone. They do, at least momentarily. Soft shot comes in on Bricker. He sticks that aside for Gosler, who dances around his man, and he's able to pump that out of the zone. The Vikings will have to take over again at their own blue line. Vikings look to move that up strong side. Instead, Marchuka cuts out the pass. Marchuka in at the near dot. He goes high on the goaltender. It bounces up and in front of the goaltender, and the Vikings surround the crease, and they're able to get that puck out of harm's way. Vikings now through the neutral zone. They round Hyder, but Hyder pushed his man far enough outside that Steinfink was there to help him and take over the puck. Steinfink to Marchuka. Marchuka with the puck in the neutral zone now. He's on the forehand. He's able to dump that in. Fauci on the far side on the forecheck picks up the puck at the far half wall and works that over to Kalemba. Kalemba now with the puck at the end boards. Puck comes off his stick. Fauci in the help. Vikings come away with it. They pass that up to the blue line, and now into the neutral zone are the Vikings. 3-on-2 developing if they hurry. Vikings send a shot wide of the cage with about 10 minutes left to go here in the second period. Raiders look to get that puck out of the zone. Instead, it comes up to the blue line, and not quite out. The Vikings keep possession there. They pinch into the Vikings from the point. Laser shot comes in, saved nicely there by Bricker, right in the chest. No rebound coming. 9:47 left to go in the second period. We'll get a stoppage in play. Raiders 3, Vikings nothing. Well, defensive zone draw to Bricker's left. It'll be Finkelstein at the dot. He wins that over to Koslewski, who returns the favor to Finkelstein. Puck now out of danger, now to the offensive zone for the Vikings. Kalemba tries to work that puck forward. Instead, the Vikings turn it the other way, and they gain the offensive zone. Looking for that slot pass. A wonderful dive there by Tanoff. Sees the first pass rejected. The second one comes through, but doesn't connect with the stick. And now they're trying a one-timer from behind the cage are the Vikings. Vikings still there. One-timer does come in on Bricker. He shuts that one down, and now he covers the puck. And we get a quick whistle, and looks like maybe a meeting of the minds in the crease. But a wonderful save there on the one-timer by Jason Bricker. Keeps a big 0 on the board for the Orland Park Vikings. 9:16 left to go here in the second period. It's Berliner now at the near dot. He wins that up to Meyerowicz. Meyerowicz works that over to Petrosinelli. Puck hops over his stick, so Gossler takes over and works that in the offensive zone. It's sent right back out by the Vikings. Hyder at center ice, tries to work the puck farther. A stick lift there by Berliner, gums up the Vikings counterattack, at least momentarily. And then the Raiders dump that into the zone. Icing waved as it must have hit a Viking stick on the way in. Meyerowicz stops any pass out of the zone. Berliner takes over. We're going to get a penalty call here. Delayed penalty. Petrosinelli sends a shot wide of the cage. The Vikings need to touch up. Hyder gets the puck, dumps it in deeper. Looks for a Raider to pick it up before a Viking. Instead, the Vikings do touch up. And we'll get a stoppage in play here at 8:38 left to go in the second period. The Raiders will be going to the power play. The Vikings look to be sitting for a minute and a half. We'll see what the call is here. It's going to be a rough down in that far offensive corner. The Raiders will get an offensive zone draw out of this as well. It'll be Meyerowicz, Berliner, Gossler, Petrosinelli, Hyder out there as the 5 skaters. Berliner looks to win that on the backhand. He does up to Hyder. Hyder has in the high slot. He's on the forehand. He sends a shot, flings it just off the goaltender's leg pads, and now a pass comes all the way across the ice to Petrosinelli, who works that up to Gossler. Long reach of Gossler, keeps the zone. Gossler now whips a shot in. It's loose in front of the cage, but the Vikings work that to the end wall. Meyerowicz now picks up possession of the puck at the end boards. Still has it there. Shot comes in. Kicked aside by the Vikings goaltender, and Berliner with the puck. He's got his back to cage and looks for support to work it up to Hyder. He finds Hyder up there. Hyder flings a shot in, looking for a Petrosinelli deflection. Petro now has it behind the cage, works it up to the far point. It's Gossler. Quick flick of the wrist, hits a skate in front, and doesn't get all the way through. Now the puck in the high slot. Berliner shepherds it over to his own stick, and now at the near dot, he looks for the one-timer, far side of the cage. Doesn't meet up with Meyerowicz, and the Vikings will break out of the zone. Vikings now through the zone. They have a 2-on-1 developing. Hyder over for cover, cuts out the threat, and now Petrosinelli covers at least momentarily. Turnaround shot there by the Vikings. Sees Jason Bricker's leg pad save that shot, and the Raiders break out of their own zone, only so far as center ice. Vikings try and dump it in farther. Gossler retreats to pick up the puck, sends it around, weak side, over to Hyder. 13 seconds left to go on the power play for the Raiders. 7:18 left to go in the second period. Raiders look for that home run pass. They get into the offensive zone. The Vikings are back. Meyerowicz now with the puck. He flings a wrist shot high. It's blockered down there by the Vikings goaltender, and the Vikings defensemen get to it first. Petrosinelli now. Watch out. Big shot comes in, hits a man in front, doesn't reach the cage. Marchuka now curls with the puck, tries to find Petrosinelli in the low slot. Doesn't get through. Marchuka has it back behind the cage. Cycles it back over to Petrosinelli. Vikings get there first. They try and chop that out of the zone. Petrosinelli makes his man pay for the pass, but the Vikings do get out of the zone. They work it all the way into the offensive zone, do the Vikings, and Tanoff turns to collect the puck behind his own net. He reverses to himself and reverses again behind his own net, letting the Raiders get set up on their change. Finkelstein has it now in the neutral zone. He's got Vigliotti and Marchuka streaking with him. He's rubbed off the puck in the offensive zone. The Vikings try and turn it the other way. Tanoff in the neutral zone now for support. Vigliotti takes over. He's on the forehand. Screen shot comes in. Saved nicely there by the Vikings goaltender. Marchuka takes over the puck at the end boards. He's on the backhand looking for support. He circles all the way around the net. He finds Steinfink at the high slot. Steinfink keeps the zone momentarily, but the Vikings cut out that blue line pass and now come the other way. Vikings all the way into the low slot, are they, on the backhand? Oh, a wonderful reaction save there by Jason Bricker. Keeps the Vikings out of the back of the net. Vikings do keep the zone. They come right back into the slot. Raiders upset that they haven't been able to break out of the zone yet. Some heavy hitting going on in the slot as Marchuka takes over behind his own cage. Marchuka reverses, skates out from behind his own cage, and now looks weak side, finds Vigliotti at the red line. Vigliotti can't quite corral the puck, and now he's going to look for Tanoff for support. Instead finds Finkelstein in the neutral zone. Finkelstein shakes off one hit, but the puck just gets off of his stick, and the Vikings take over in their defensive end. They hit the shin guard there of Marchuka, and they'll have to recoil behind their own cage. Now the Vikings work that puck up to the near point. Tanoff keeps and dumps it right back in. Berliner on the far side on the forecheck. Beats his man to the puck and works it in farther. Vigliotti looks to take over at the near half wall. Vigliotti with the puck, works up to Tanoff. Tanoff on the forehand, finds the glove of Berliner, who drops it, tries to shoot, but instead stick gets in his way, and it's a soft shot as some of these players look like they are going to head to the box after some jousting behind the play. Now it'll be Berliner for a slash after the Vikings player with some extracurriculars had pushed him in front of the crease, but as they say, it's always the retaliation that gets called. So the Raiders will be down a man here. 5:05 left to go in the second period. Defensive zone draw to Bricker's right. Pizarro out there, wins that puck forward, threads it around one man. Can't beat the point man for the Vikings, though. Vikings now in. They send a shot high over the cage, and they try and take over. Samosi gets to the puck first, but the Vikings man takes him off the puck. It's in the high slot now. Look out. Shot comes in to the mid slot. Then a soft shot comes in. Bricker makes the save there. Bricker still out. Puck sits at the side of the cage. He looks to cover it up with the blocker. Instead, it's kicked aside there. The referee replaces the net as Gossler skates that puck out of trouble through the neutral zone. Gossler with speed. He's on the wrist shot. He sends that in on cage. It's blockered aside by the Vikings goaltender. Vikings now look to break out of their own zone on the power play. Instead, they find the stick of Blake Hyder, who dumps that puck in just a bit offside, though, with 48 seconds left to go on the kill for the Raiders and 4:23 left to go in the second period for the game. Well, a wonderful 2 and then 3 reaction saves there by Jason Bricker. Kept the Vikings out of the back of the net. And so they'll stay up a man here for 48 more seconds. Vikings win that face-off into their defensive end. They work it up through their own slot now into the neutral zone down the left wing. Hyder stays at home and works that puck to the outside, and the Vikings will have to collect there. Puck now at the near half wall. Shot comes in, hits a skate in front, but goes wide of the cage. Vikings look to pick up possession again. They have it at the far half wall, work it up to the far point, the Vikings do, trying to get that on the forehand. Shot goes well wide of the cage, and the Vikings will have to collect again. Fauci harassing his man to get the puck. Soft shot comes in, sits right in front of the cage, and is cleared out there by Tanoff. Just a little bit out of the reach of Bricker. Vikings go point to point. 8 seconds left to go on the power play for them. They leave it at the near point and then work it in deeper. Vikings man blows a tire, though, and Hyder takes over at the near half wall. Back to 5-on-5 hockey. Vikings are able to keep the zone with 3.5 minutes left to go in the second period. Still all Vikings at the end wall. They've got possession. Now the shot comes in. Hits Tanoff in front. Doesn't reach the cage. And it works its way up to Marchuka, who gains the neutral zone, and now the offensive zone. He's got Fauci for support behind him, and he's got Kalimba streaking. Oh, Kalimba's stick lifted just at the last second there, and the Vikings live to fight another day. Vikings now through the neutral zone. It's a 2-on-3. Drop pass there. Sees the Vikings try a screened shot, but it's cut out by the Raiders, and Marchuka comes the other way. He's again got Columba streaking into the slot. Marchuka tries to dance around his man. His man is wiser this time around and takes him out of the play, at least momentarily. Vikings look to take over at the near half wall. Fauci there with the puck. Man draped all over him. Marchuka has the puck. We're going to get a call here. Marchuka with a laser backhand, saved nicely there by the Vikings goaltender. And on the delayed penalty, the Vikings do touch up after that save with 2:43 left to go in the second period. The Raiders will be up a man for a minute and a half. Some discussion now by the referee at the Vikings bench. Well, the discussion continues, presumably explaining why the penalty was called. Of course, there are rules about number of penalties called against a certain player and what might happen. So in any event, it seems like a casual, unofficial warning issued there about what the call was and the consequences of another. In any event, no need for speculation. 2:43 left to go here in the second period. Raiders will be up a man and up 3 goals. And look to pot another one against the Orland Park Vikings. Berliner wins the face-off to himself. Puck still sits at the dot. Vikings do come away with it in their own defensive end. They're able to get that puck past the blue line. Meyerowicz with a wonderful back check, though, cuts his man out of the play, chops it out of the defensive zone of the Raiders. Meyerowicz looks to take back over at the red line. He finds Petrosinelli, and Berliner comes into the offensive zone. Petrosinelli tries a shot in, kicked aside there by the Vikings goaltender, and the Vikings again look to feather that out of the zone. They do. Steinfink back to cut out any counterattack the other way. Rolling shot comes in on Bricker. He just steers that aside, and Steinfink takes over with 58 seconds left to go on the power play for the Raiders. Vikings take over in their own end. They'll go point to point here and break right out. Ooh, a nice lead pass there by the Vikings. See them break into the offensive zone. That play's cut out there by Nate Steinfink. Shot goes wide, and Bricker had it covered either way. Now Koslewski with the puck. He works that up to Meyerowicz. Meyerowicz finds Petrosinelli. Petrosinelli corrals the puck and skates into the offensive zone. He dumps it in deep, takes his man out of the play, but he's going to get called for this one as Berliner touches up. Now the referees are calling this game tight as the hitting has gotten heavy. They want to make sure they get control of this game. So with 1:36 left to go in the second period, it'll be 4-on-4 hockey for 23 seconds. And then it'll be a Vikings power play for a minute and 7 seconds, assuming no other calls are made. In any event, 4-on-4 hockey here. Finkelstein over at the far dot. He's got Tanoff, Gossler, and Vigliotti out there with him. Finkelstein wins that to the far half wall. Gossler takes over. He threads that up and out of the defensive zone, and Vigliotti gives chase on the forecheck. Puck comes to Finkelstein. Finkelstein crosses center ice and now crosses in the offensive zone. Tries a shot on goal. It's deflected by the Vikings and now out of the zone. Vigliotti skates down his man, takes over the puck. Now Finkelstein takes over again. Finkelstein in the offensive zone. It's 5-on-4 hockey in favor of the Vikings now. Finkelstein with a heavy hit behind the net. Puck comes up to Tanoff. It's deflected high and into the netting, and we'll get a stoppage in play with a minute and 4 seconds left to go in the second period and 58 seconds left to go on the Raiders' penalty kill. Well, some hard work by Vigliotti and Finkelstein there in the offensive end. Down a skater. Keeps this puck at the proper end of the ice as far as the New York City Raiders are concerned. It'll be Samosi, Marchuka, Hyder, and Steinfink as the 4 skaters for the Raiders. Marchuka at the near dot. Tries to win that on the forehand into the slot. Puck comes to Samosi, who works that puck in deeper to kill more of this penalty. Now Marchuka at the end boards. Harasses his man there. Tries to take the puck off of him. And at least comes up the play for a few more seconds on this kill. 52 seconds left to go here in the second period as the Vikings break out. They're through the neutral zone, are the Vikings. They gain the offensive end, but not before a skater without the puck had entered the offensive zone. And we get an offside call here with 44.5 seconds left to go in the second period. Still 38 seconds left to go on the kill for the Raiders. Same 4 skaters for the Raiders out there. Marchuka wins it over to Samosi. Samosi works that out of the zone. The Vikings will take over again in the neutral zone. They can't quite work that puck in deep, though, as Samosi and Marchuka on the forecheck gummed up any play. Now Steinfink finds Marchuka streaking into the offensive end. Marchuka at the near dot. Looks to go around the Vikings goaltender. And we do have a goal. That's a Raiders goal there. Luke Marchuka again. And that's a shorty for the Raiders with 25.9 seconds left to go in the second period. It's Raiders 4, Vikings nothing. Well, the linesman checking to see who may have gotten an assist on that play after Marchuka rounded the goaltender. And instead of going to the far side of the net, he waited for that 5-hole to open and potted it. Vikings win that ensuing face-off back into their defensive end. They curl behind their own net. Just 20 seconds left to go in this period. Samosi tries to gum up the play. Marchuka looks to take over in the neutral zone. Instead, the Vikings continue to work it forward until it gets to Hyder's stick at the blue line, who just slaps that out of the defensive zone. Now Samosi blocks a shot into the zone. Vikings dump that in deeper. Hyder gloves it down, sends it right back out of the zone, and that'll do it for the second period. At the end of 2, it's New York City Raiders 4, Orland Park Vikings 0. Stick around. Puck drop for period 3. Coming up next. Well, period 3's puck drop coming up next. We put 16 more minutes on the board, but before that, we have time to visit with our last sponsor this evening, right here on Midnight Sports. Tonight's game on Midnight Sports is made possible by Snacks Before Bed. Hockey fans, we've all been there. You got hungry early, so you had dinner early. Not a problem. Better than waiting and overeating later, right? Wrong. Now it's 8 p.m. and you're hungry. You're not just a little bit hungry. You're an entire bag of chips sounds good right about now hungry. Well, the folks at Snacks Before Bed have you covered. Chips, candy, leftovers, crackers. It's ready for you anytime you want it. Snacks Before Bed. The food might be expensive, but the guilt and regret are free. Well, here come the players out from their strategy session at the bench. This game is still in doubt. 16 minutes on the board. 4-goal lead for the Raiders. Vikings have had a little bit of push, though, the second half of that second period. And the Raiders have pushed right back. It'll be Fauci at the center dot. He's got Pizarro and Kalemba out with him. Referee checks both goalies and the scorekeeper. It's Tanoff and Koshlevsky as the defensive pairing. Fauci wins that forward. Kalemba looks to take over. Puck comes to Koshlevsky in the neutral zone, works it up to Kalemba. Then the Vikings take it. Vikings have it at center ice, looking to get on the forehand. Instead, they'll have to send it to Pfeiffer back in their own zone. Vikings again look to take over. Instead, a rolling puck comes to Kalemba. He's in the slot. He sends a shot that's deflected up and into the glove of the Vikings goaltender. So 20 seconds into the third period, the Raiders get their first shot on goal for the period. But it's saved nicely there by the Vikings goaltender. It'll be an offensive zone draw. Same 5 skaters for the Raiders out there. Fauci at the far dot. Looks to win that forward. He kicks it farther, and Pizarro takes over now. Pizarro at the far corner looks to work that over to Fauci. Just too many skates in the way. But the Raiders keep that zone on Tanoff's slapper right back in. Pizarro takes over at the near half wall. Pizarro works that down to Kalemba. And Kalemba tries to track down the puck. Good back check there by Kalemba and Fauci. Keep the zone momentarily until it comes up to Tanoff. Everyone's cleared the zone. Tanoff dumps it right back in. The Raiders looking to just strangle the life out of this game by keeping the offensive zone. Instead, the Vikings come the other way. Bouncing puck rolls wide of the cage, and Koshlevsky fires in on his man. He beats his man to the puck, takes him out of the play. The Vikings have a lot of support as they push now, try and get some shots on goal. They're going to take some chances, are the Vikings. Koshlevsky has the puck, takes the puck out of the zone as well as his man down. behind the net. The puck rolls just a little bit too far on that clearing attempt by the Raiders, and we'll get an icing call with 14:46 left to go here in the third period. Well, this faceoff's going to come to Bricker's left, and it's going to be Hyder and Gosler as a defensive pair out there. Marchuka, Meyerowicz, and Petrosinelli as the forwards. 5-on-5 hockey here. Marchuka wins that over to Petrosinelli in the slot. Petrosinelli skates that out of the defensive zone. He's on the forehand. He's crossed the red line. He dumps it in just as soon as he does. Marchuka now fires in on the forecheck. He's on the backhand. Works that puck over to Petrosinelli. Puck comes off his stick. Meyerowicz there to gum up the play at least momentarily. Vikings now furiously trying to get this out of the zone. They do get it out of the zone. Gosler turns to take his man wide. Gosler takes the puck off his man. He's on the forehand behind his own cage. Scott Hyder for support. Bouncing puck as the ice gets a bit snowy and choppy out there after 2+ periods of play. Marchuka has the puck through the neutral zone. He's in. He's on the backhand. Tries to round the goalie again. He does. Shot goes just wide after a nice save there by the Vikings goaltender. Now Gosler waits at the point for the puck. Vikings are able to work it up past him, and now it's a 2-on-1 the other way. But nice back check by Petrosinelli, forces the pass wide, and Marchuka takes over the puck. He finds Meyerowicz on the left wing. Meyerowicz in the offensive zone. He's in the slot. He sends a shot in, and it's frozen down nicely there by the Vikings goaltender. Nice play by Marchuka and Meyerowicz to create something out of nothing, and just an even better save on the heavy wrist shot of Meyerowicz. Keeps this a 4-goal game. Well, new skaters out there now for the Raiders. It'll be Berliner, Pizarro, and Samosi. Samosi takes over that face-off win by Berliner. Shot comes in. Bouncing shot from Tanoff at the high slot. Goes just wide of the cage. Vikings look to break out of their zone. They made it so far as the near point, but no farther. And Pizarro looks to work the puck farther now. Steinfink works it over to Berliner. Berliner takes over in the mid-slot. Berliner on the forehand. Sends a shot up and in. That's a Raiders goal. Sam Berliner in the mid-slot on the forehand beats the Vikings goaltender, and the Raiders are up 5-0 with 13:27 left to go here in the third period. Well, it'll be Samosi, Berliner, and Pizarro still as the forwards. Steinfink and Tanoff as a defensive pair. Faceoff comes over to Steinfink, who works that puck in deep once he crosses the red line. Pizarro on the forecheck. Pizarro looks to pick up the puck at the end boards. Vikings man pushes it past him to the far half wall, and now the Vikings break out of their zone. Vikings take over only so far as Nate Steinfink cuts out the threat at least long enough for the Raiders to get back. Vikings dump that in. Tanoff turns to pick up behind his own net. He's on the backhand. He's got Samosi for support. Vikings take over at least momentarily. Vikings have the puck in the slot, trying to work it farther. Steinfink uses the boards to work that up to Berliner. Puck hops over his stick, and Steinfink takes straight back over in his own zone. He works that over to Samosi. Samosi tries to move that puck farther. He does. He's in the offensive zone. Is Samosi on the backhand. Looks to curl around the back of the cage. He's pushed off the puck there, and Pizarro takes over. Pizarro now cycles behind the cage. He's on the backhand looking for someone in the slot. He finds Berliner. A wonderful pass there, and a deflected shot goes over the cage. Samosi now hacks away at the puck, works it over to Berliner. Berliner finds Pizarro. This line is buzzing right now. Pizarro with the puck behind the cage, looking for a teammate to pass to. Puck rolls off his stick, and he picks it up at the far half wall. Pizarro finds Samosi. Samosi turns. He's got the puck there. Tries a backhander, 5-hole. It's shut down by the Vikings goaltender, and now the Vikings will break out the other way. Vikings cut out of the play by Nate Koslewski, and Steinfink picks up the puck. Steinfink into the offensive zone. He's on the backhand. He's turned. He's around. He sends a shot in. A wonderful save there by the Vikings goaltender, and on the follow-up. Vikings try and take over the puck. Koslewski cuts out the counterattack. He's got the puck on his forehand. Screen shot comes in. Hits a body in front. Goes wide. Vigliotti looks to pick up the puck now. He's at the far half wall. He's taken out of the play. Looks to try and work it over to Koslewski. Instead, the Vikings come away with it, and they're able to get that puck out of their zone. It's Edison now through the neutral zone. Can't gain the offensive zone, though, as Koslewski and Finkelstein combine to take their man off the puck. Finkelstein works it over to Vigliotti at the defensive blue line. Vigliotti dances around one man and then two. Passes to himself at the offensive blue line. Looks to work the puck in deeper. Puck finds Marchuka. Marchuka has Gosler behind him. Marchuka was working it up to Gosser, but a poke check took it off his stick, and now Gosser turns to hurry to get back. It's a 1-on-2 for the Vikings. Vikings looking into the slot. Puck evades everyone. Vigliotti comes away with it. He's got Marchuka. Hard pass up to Marchuka, connects, and Marchuka gains the offensive zone. Marchuka looks to curl into the slot. He finds Hyder at the far point. Comes off his stick and skate and out of the zone, so Marchuka recoils in his own defensive end. Marchuka now behind his own net. 10:49 left to go here in the third period. Marchuka finds Gosser, who finds Finkelstein, who dumps it in. Vigliotti in on the forecheck. Marchuka goes for a change. Vigliotti tries to work that over to Finkelstein. Vikings beat the Raiders to it, and they dump it out of the zone. Gosser now covering. Sends that puck up to Berliner at the blue line. Raiders still buzzing out there. Berliner now takes over the puck. It's 1-on-1. Berliner looks to get it onto the backhand. He does. Ooh, that backhand just misses high and wide. He had the goalie fooled on that one. The Raiders will have to take over again. Fauci now with the puck. He's on the forehand. Shot comes in. That's a goal. That's a Matthew Fauci goal. Hard work there on the far half wall. Results in a Raiders goal there. Just over 10 minutes to go. It's Raiders 6, Vikings nothing. Well, at this AHF showcase, any team that goes up by 5 goals in the third period cues the clock to run. And so, despite stoppages in play, we won't get clock stoppages unless the Vikings close this down to 4 goals. Vikings in on Bricker. Bricker with a wonderful leg and stick save there to keep the goose egg on the board. Now it's the Raiders looking to break out the other way. Jackson Kalemba with the puck. He's gained center ice. He takes a heavy hit there after dumping it in and pops right back up. And Fauci now with the puck. Fauci curls around the net. Puck sits in the crease. Berliner there, and Berliner scores. That's another Raiders goal there. After Fauci takes the puck to the end wall, tries the wraparound, it's saved. Sam Berliner comes away with the goal. Now that's Raiders 7, Vikings nothing. The clock ticks just under 9 minutes now. It'll be Kalemba, Fauci, Marchuka, Gosler, Steinfink on the ensuing faceoff. Marchuka wins it to himself, pours forward in the offensive zone. He's on the forehand, is Marchuka. He stops, waits, leaves it for Fauci. Fauci at the far half wall, works that puck in deeper, and Kalemba fires it. He takes a heavy hit there to keep the puck in the zone, and now the Vikings work that puck up past the point. This ought to be an icing if we get a whistle. No, icing's waved there. Referees know the clock's running, and so they're going to call everything in favor of continuing play if they can. Puck comes the other way here. Well, not everything in favor of continuing play, and certainly not when it's the Raiders that have dumped it into the other end. So we do get an icing call. Just over 8 minutes to play. Raiders will skate all the way back to their own end to take this face-off. And it'll be to Bricker's left. Marchuka at the near dot. Gosler behind him. Petrosinelli, Steinfink, and Meyerwich out there as the 5 skaters. Petrosinelli takes over at the near half wall. He's out of his own zone. On the backhand, he dumps that puck in. Under 8 minutes to go now in this game. Orland Park Vikings take over in their own end. Vikings skated out of their zone into the neutral zone. Try and work it past Steinfink, who's just been a wall there in the neutral zone tonight. Cuts out another play, takes over the puck, and now tries to work it over to Marchuka. A late stick there by the Vikings. The only thing preventing him, Nate Steinfink that is, from working that puck over to Luke Marchuka. Vikings take over. They work that puck out of their zone, only so far as Steinfink. Steinfink at the blue line. He's got it on the forehand. He dumps that puck in deep so he can retreat back to his point position. Vikings take over. They work it up, only so far as Gosler, who's able to dump it in deep again. Just over 7 minutes left to go in the third period here. Vikings do flick it out of their zone into the neutral zone, and Steinfink turns. He's got Gosler for support as the Vikings make a change. Gosler now with the puck. Gosler carries it all the way through the neutral zone. He's on the forehand. He's past the near dot into the near corner. Vikings take over there. They look to work that out of the zone. Instead, it comes up to Petrosinelli in the slot, who flings that puck in deeper. Vikings have a bouncing puck, and they do finally get that out of the zone. They have a 2-on-1 developing here, do the Vikings. Gossler's back. Early pass. Sees a return pass that can't connect, as Hyder was there on the back check. Petrosinelli now takes over the puck. He's at his own blue line. He works it up and out of the zone, but no farther. Now Edison with the puck pours back in for the Vikings. Tries a screenshot in on Bricker, and that puck sits there, and we will get a whistle stopping play at 6:15 left to go in the third period. The clock, as mentioned, will continue to run. This face-off will come to Bricker's left. So the Vikings and Raiders will make a full 5 change. It'll be Berliner at the near dot. Berliner wins that on the forehand over to Tanoff. Vikings try and dump that in deeper. They do. Hyder fires in behind his own net to guide the puck up to the far half wall. Hyder without a stick now looks to kick it farther. Vikings lose control of the puck, and Tanoff takes over behind his own net. Hyder picking up his stick, sees the puck come just past him. Vikings able to keep the zone. They send a backhand shot wide of the cage. Now Tanoff picks up on the backhand. He takes a hit there to work it up to Samosi, who taps it past his man. Samosi and Pizarro now streak into the offensive zone. Samosi looks to get onto the forehand. He passes over to Pizarro. Pizarro with the shot. Rebound comes in. Saved twice there by the Vikings goaltender. Up to Tanoff. Tanoff with a heavy shot in. An amazing glove there by the Vikings goaltender as he lays on the ground, reaches up, and stops that shot with 5:10 left to go here in the third period. That glove out of nowhere, the only thing keeping Tanoff off the board there on that shot from the high point. Now Berliner wins that back to Samosi. Samosi looking for a teammate. He's on the backhand, trying to work up to the forehand. Shot comes in, hits the side of the cage. Berliner picks up at the end boards. Under 5 minutes left to go here in this game. Berliner with the puck pinned at the end boards and 2 Vikings on him. Samosi now for support. Referee's yelling to move it. Samosi does find the puck and works it around front. Pizarro tries to jam home. Leg pad gets in the way, and the Vikings are able to get that puck out of their zone. Vikings pour forward into the neutral zone. They're harassed there, as these Raiders want to keep them off the board, and understandably so. Vikings dump that into the offensive zone. Just over 4 minutes left to go. Tanoff now at the puck at the end boards. Raiders pick up the puck in the slot, look to work that out of the zone. It's Berliner and Marchuka out there pouring forward. Marchuka now with the puck up the right wing. He's on the forehand. Shot comes high of the cage, rattles all the way around to the near point. Kishlevsky's able to keep the zone, work it down to Marchuka. Marchuka on the forehand, looking for a teammate. One-timer from Pizarro, gummed up by a stick of the Vikings, but Marchuka takes over again. Marchuka on the backhand, looks for a teammate. He's going to have to take this puck out of the zone. Steinfink sits there, and he gums up any counteroffensive the other way. Steinfink able to dump that into the offensive zone and relieve some of the defensive pressure on the Raiders. Kishlevsky now, near side, works that puck up through the neutral zone. 3.5 minutes left to go as Vigliotti's out there and pours forward on the forecheck. Vikings now the other way. They've gained the offensive zone. Vikings into the slot. They go high on the cage and hit the glass behind. Finkelstein with the puck. Tries to work that farther to Vigliotti. Vigliotti takes a heavy hit, but he's able to move that up to the far point at the very least. Vikings now with the puck. They work it in deep. They look for a pass into the slot. They hit the side of the cage, and now Finkelstein looks to take over in the near corner. He takes a heavy hit, works the puck out to open ice, and now the Raiders are swarming around the puck. Vikings send something in. It's cut out there by Steinfink. Steinfink looks to work that up to Vigliotti, who tries to work it farther. Marchuka finds the puck now at the far half wall. Marchuka is able to get that puck out of the zone. The Vikings come right back in after clearing the zone. Vikings in the high slot. On the forehand, they send one up on Bricker, who's able to stick that into his glove and save it there with 2:40 left to go in the third period. Well, Jason Bricker hasn't seen tons and tons of action, although the volume has increased here in the second and third periods. Every time he's been called on, though, he has done a wonderful job of making saves and freezing the puck. Everything you'd want from your goaltender here tonight after the long drive on the Jersey Turnpike. Ensuing faceoff. Raiders win that to the end wall. Pass comes into the slot, and it's cut out there by Fauci and Berliner. Berliner now pours through the neutral zone into the offensive zone. He leaves it for Fauci, who's going to work that puck in deeper with just over 2 minutes left to go. Berliner on the puck. He's at the end boards, looks for the slot pass, and hits a Orland Park Vikings skate. Puck comes up to Gossler, who tries to whip a wrist shot in. Instead hits a man, and now the Vikings have a mini break the other way. Hyder back. Mini break still on. Bricker shuts that down. No rebound coming. Oh, a wonderful leg save there by Bricker. Oh no, the Vikings go up and over him after that wonderful leg save. Oh, and with just over a minute and a half left to go, you've got to feel for Jason Bricker there, as he made some wonderful saves until that puck was potted in the back of the net as he was down on the ice. Well, that is a shame for him, but still a wonderful game by Jason Bricker there. And it had everything for him, other than we can now say the S word, the shutout. But still a wonderful, wonderful game by Jason Bricker. And right back the other way, the Raiders score immediately. Well, with just a minute to go, looks like Luke Marchuka was the trigger man again, and that'll be Raiders 8, Vikings 1. Well, Marchuka on the ensuing faceoff wins that forward. He's got Meyerowicz out there with him. Meyerowicz now into the offensive zone. Vikings get there first and push that puck into the neutral zone. We'll get a quick offside call as the puck deflects off a few sticks. And the clock continues to run. Just 24 seconds on that ticking clock left to go in this game. And it's been a wonderful response here by the New York City Raiders after their first AHF showcase to come in after a long day of school and travel. And it looks like they'll take this game as Bizarro comes into the offensive zone with just 4 seconds left, and he's rubbed off the puck, taking a heavy hit there. The Raiders will take this game 8-1 over the Orland Park Vikings. Well, tune in tomorrow morning at around 9 a.m. as the Raiders take the ice again right here on Midnight Sports. But in the meantime, thanks so much for joining us, and stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow.